All right. Happy Friday, y'all. We are live. We're live and recording. So, what's up, Awareness Daily? Y'all, sui juris. Oh yeah, that's in one's own personal capacity. Awesome. Happy Friday, Veronica. Glad you're on the beach enjoying the finer things in life because it's raining and a little cold where I'm at. Um, I do try to get out the country, every couple months or so, or at least that's what I plan on trying to do from now on. Uh, my grandfather used to take everybody, and that ain't happening no more. But it is what it is. What's up with everybody? How's things popping? Again, Veronica, thanks for the gifts. You're much appreciated. And glad that you know, made it through Spirit because I tell you, it's funny. I didn't know you would tag Spirit Airlines on that message and on X, and when they tried to message me back because of my distasteful reply to their services. Me and somebody else, we were trying to travel, and they delayed us like 6.5, 7 hours, and when we got on the wheel sounded like it was going to fall off. It was squeaking. It was like, it sounded like a dead turkey getting gobbled up, and it's kind of sketchy. But anyway, they ended up giving me a free flight, and like I said, I didn't even want it. Like, I don't know how to give it to somebody or something. But yeah, we got that in the bank. Someday I guess I can use Spirit Airlines. But last time I went out and went to Turkey, Spirit wasn't involved, and it was such a complicated, convoluted mess when I went through Lufthansa, who used United Airlines, who then again used another. There was 3 parties involved, and when crap hit the fan, when they lost my luggage, everybody's doing the finger point game, and it was just coming back from Turkey was a nightmare. So, but anyway, traveling can be a lot of fun. Yeah, it was definitely. It's definitely wholesome, and it's a good way to get a good perspective on different economies and different cultures. And one of the things that I kind of like peering into is the establishment of different rules and guidelines for the different citizens. Because like on a big scale, everything's somewhat similar, but then you start getting out into the micro and the weeds, and things are different. Like, for instance, prazis are legal in Turkey, and the prazis register to the government. The government offers health care and stuff like that, but you can't smoke any tree, and everything's cheap and so beautiful. It's just wild. It's just weird when you start getting out of this little U.S. matrix and going to other places. But yeah, travel is very healing, and I actually got confronted once by people trying to sell timeshares, and they had this ploy where they would reel in all these old people, and they would tell them, if you do not take vacations, you will die early. And it was like, it was a painful thing. There was I was driving in Florida, and I saw these billboard signs that says come to the seminar and you'll get free Disney World tickets. So I go in there, I sit down and listen to everything, and basically what they're like, it started off saying, we'll give you if you pay us $3,000 a month, you will be able to go everywhere in the world you want, all these timeshare places. And I'm like, I just want these free tickets, yo. And so they started off there, and then they started getting down into smaller and smaller rooms. They had us keep going into different rooms, and by the end of it, they got down, and I was like, I just want the tickets, like come on. And they're like, at first they were like $3,000 a month, and all this will be. Everybody in your family will have to pay this, like your successors, your heirs. It will be locked in forever for the rest of your life, $3,000 a month or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, right. Like, no, get out of here. And then by the end of it, by like the 4th room, we're sitting in a room, and they were like, literally, just give us $5. Just give us $5 to start down, or so. And I'm like, I'm not giving you any money. Give me my tickets. And I got the tickets, eventually. But it was like a painful, grueling type of experience to try to go through that whole ordeal just to get the tickets. Like, they made it tough. But imagine being a poor old lady or old man, and you're sitting in a room, and they're sitting there showing you these graphs that say, if you do not travel, you will die early. And it's like, I'm like, what a trick to play on old folk. That's terrible. Good Friday to you too, Tori Davis. Thanks for hopping on. Friday's, my day. I try to slide in here before the weekend to get on here and help some people out. Looking forward to, I never know what's going to pop up, who's coming in. I love this stuff. I'm just coming off the hip trying to help everybody. So, you know, I do try to inform people when I'm going live on Telegram. I am shadow banned. TikTok is not going to push out to everybody and let people know that I'm on here. They try to keep my traffic at around 20 on average, 20 people. And then once that's met and reached, unless y'all are sharing, it's just not going to go out. So it is what it is. I'm using their platform, and I have to abide by some of the rules and guidelines that they provide. And I've thought about using other platforms. All right, so it's a jalopy airline. What does that even mean? Sloppy jalopy? Is that what that is? Awareness. Starting to see that the citizen is a construct, is a trust. It holds all the info the human creates. No, I wouldn't look at a U.S. citizen as holding. I think you're trying to blur the line between the digital identity and what the U.S. citizen is. The U.S. citizen is just a corporation is only good for holding debt, and that's why the U.S. was created. The U.S. was created to hold debt, and that's what the king agreed to. The king agreed to the sovereignty of the people that wanted independence, and they said that you can secede from us, even though you owe all these debts from me paying for y'all to build all these colonies. And the people that wanted to be free said, we will continue to tax and send you money from the people that still want to owe allegiance to you. So they created the U.S. corporation to hold all the debt. And then when the people didn't pay, that's when the states came up as surety, and then it continued. But corporations are good for holding debt. Like that's kind of what they're used for holding. Well, we call them assets, but usually everything's a liability that gets depreciated. So in Turkey, I went to Aydin, and what was the other place Bird Island. There was some amazing. It starts with an M. Oh my gosh, it almost looked like Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii. I kind of want to, and I kind of looked at the world's graphs on how much it costs to go different places, and Turkey was like way down. It was like 32. It's pretty cheap to go there, and like number one was, I don't know if it was Virgin Islands. There was an island that was number one. There was two places that were higher than New York out of all the earth. And let's see, cost of living on Earth. So we got the top 10. Singapore. So different graphs show different things. I think you can break it down by city. You can start poking around, but on average, and the U.S. is not the highest spending power. So. Encourage viewers to share, because TikTok ain't doing it. What up? What is WGAT up, Charles? What up, what going at? I don't know what WGAT is. But anyway, awareness. I would say the U.S. citizen is just a corporation. I wouldn't try to overthink it too much. It's just a trust that was created. A lot of people get tricked by the public mainstream narratives that it is them, because you go in the public fool system and they make you sign your name at the top before you read any contracts, and they make you check stuff all the time that says you're a U.S. citizen. And us being trusting people want to trust and believe that the systems that are in place are honorable, when really they are set in place to try to keep us kind of in line and blinded. And there is a good reason for that, and that is actually a perfect segue for what I'm getting ready to tell y'all. So, being a parent of two toddlers, I luckily get to watch all these kids cartoons all the time. So I'm always watching kids cartoons, and I actually watched one. When you're able to look at things on a big picture or breaks things down. Your average human doesn't know that the Wizard of Oz was all about the money that got taken away from the people, and coming back at the common law with Silver Shoes, and how when she said, I'm not in Kansas anymore, and everything went black and white, it was switching into a corporation. Everything got flim-flammed. But anyway, I watched this cartoon, and it was so cool. It was called Littlefoot, okay? And the whole premise was about a colony of Bigfoots that abide by these stone laws. All the laws are written on stone. And one of the stones said that smallfoots do not exist, and a smallfoot is a human. So they're all doing their jobs, they're all doing their tasks. They're in this little town, the city commune, And one of the stone laws says that Smallfoot does not exist. And then one of the Bigfoots sees one. It comes in on a plane, crashes, whatever. So, he's like, oh my gosh, that means that a stone is not correct. And he tries to go back and tell people, and they're all like, no, it's not true. It can't be. The stones are written there, and they can't break the stone laws, the stone tablets, And so I'm looking at this, and I'm like, can this get any realer? And then next thing I know, he finds the Smallfoot human, he brings them to the civilization and starts teaching everybody their ways, and everybody's open up. And then the main guy, the guy who holds all the stones on his outfit, grabs the Bigfoot that found the Littlefoot and takes him into a private room. And in the private room, he shows him the truth. Okay, and the truth was, he said, the Bigfoots used to go down into civilization, but the humans tried killing them. So we moved up to the top of the mountain. We tell everybody that there's nothing below it. It's all false and fictitious. This is our only world in reality, to protect everybody and keep everybody safe and kind of locked into a bubble. And I'm sitting there like, this is the most beautiful allegory of how all of the laws that are out there that bind everybody and keep everybody kind of in the zone, in the days, jumping on the hamster wheel. And if you're able to make it to the private room and understand how everything works, like, it's kind of a harmonious system. Everybody has their jobs, they're contributing, and it's keeping everybody safe and in lock, when really the stones are there to keep everybody kind of blinded to an extent, but you can see beyond it. And it was just such a beautiful allegory of how all of our systems are in place, where everybody is bound by all these codes, policies, and statutes, but you're not. It's like, surprise, you're above and beyond all that stuff. So I'm assuming my mic's good, everybody. Let me start getting on some of these questions. Slanging that truth, pew pew. Oh yeah, shooting them all the time, man. Absolutely. That's how I roll, Clay. Absolutely glad that you're a fan and follower of the truth and the light, because there's not a lot of people that want to be well educated and think out of the box. And I talk to people all the time, and they're like, well, if we were taught this in the system, like, yeah, they could teach us the truth from the beginning, but that's not how the game works. The game works is if you're going to lean on somebody else for your education, you're going to lean on somebody else to do your governance, to do your paperwork, to do your you can register the BC. That's up to you. Let the citizen get created. It's all there. It's the easy button. You hit the easy button. Boom. Let somebody else govern everything. It's up to you. When you look at the system on a whole and you're able to operate outside of it and understand it all, we're all sovereign. We've all been put into these little blind boxes for a reason, to keep us in place, because that's how you control millions and millions and billions of people, and that's how the system works. And if you sit one person down, you can teach them individually a little bit at a time, and people can only handle what they can handle. A lot of people don't want to be self-governed. They don't want to take care of themselves or be responsible. And so when people say, hey, I have a lot of people that want me to sit down and make simple play-by-play courses for sites or for communities or whatever, like, because I have a lot of knowledge. And I try to tell them that doesn't work. I can make a 101 course. I can make a class. I can make a simple, because he's like, everybody should know they're sovereign. It's like they are, without studying anything, you already are. Now, if you want to know what other people know or how corporations are bound, then study the codes. You can study the codes for the rest of your life. But the issue I always run into is people only jump when they have fires under their feet, and they only want to study just a little bit, and they don't want to be responsible when you on a big picture. So other people will govern them for them, and there's no one size shoe fits all, because that's not equity. Equity is on a case-by-case basis. I could try to come up with a course and try to funnel thousands of people through, and maybe one or two would actually grasp it, but that's kind of what I've done on my playlist. I've made playlists that could help set everybody free completely, but a lot of people don't want to take the time, effort, or the ability to try to study and learn and what it takes to be sovereign. That is the most important thing, is to come from love, not knowing 10 billion statutes, to come from love and equity and be at peace and understand what it means to be sovereign. You get to choose what you want in this life. All right, Charlie Joshua. Charlie means free man, in case you weren't aware. I did not know that. So that's cool, Charlie. Hi, Freeman. So Charles means strong, I believe. And actually, I was riding in a lift today, and the guy said that Charles means, or Charles is French. And I didn't look up what his origins were from, but he lived in France for a long time, and he said Charles is a French name. Clay, have I trademarked my name? I did some of that copyright trademark stuff a long time ago, but it's not my name. That's someone else's, and I can style my name a lowercase if I want to and try to trademark that, but you can't really copyright letters. You can't. You can trademark a name, but here's, it gets complicated when you try to challenge because there's another entity that has the same exact styled name. And if you try to say there's a differentiator, then it's like, what is it? Is it the tax identification number? Is there a tax identification number for the trade name? Or are you registering to be the author or the user? Because we're just the authorized representative of the all capital name. And when I sign stuff, I sign it in all capital letters because that's the U.S. citizens game. It's the dead world of commerce. It's let Caesar have what Caesar created, and move on. Yasujers. I definitely need to make my way to Turkey. I've heard so many great things. Yeah, I guess I need to too to get some plugs in the back, for sure. Clay, what up? Oh, I meant what up. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Clay. Jalen, sorry, I'm getting a little behind on these questions. Is registering the assumed name or DBA needed? No, it's not. Now, it's funny, I just touched on that. So you're already the authorized representative of the U.S. citizen. You don't have to use that. You can create a trust that has the same name, and you don't have to register it. You can put it under your own control, under your own jurisdiction. You can hail the Republican form of government should you want to. It's up to you. Or you can create your own parcel or jurisdiction. But typically, it's good to have it tied to some type of land. If you don't own your own land or have the patent or grant from it, then you can just claim the sovereign republic state that you stay in. It's up to you. Straw man, yeah, the straw man is just a tool, and a lot of people get confused, and and that's why I love Awareness Daily. The U.S. citizen is just a trust tool that was created. The U.S. citizen has the ability to discharge debt publicly and privately. That's a benefit. And I had someone from Canada reach out to me, and I'm not 100% well versed on Canadian codes and laws. He's like, is Canadian citizen an enemy? And I'm like, I know where it's codified in the USC, but I don't know about Canadian law. He's like, is the money war script? I'm like, I'm leaning towards yes, because it's not asset backed and it's fruitless in the world. And the U.S. citizen the U.S. Federal Reserve note is the world reserve currency as of right now. And so I'm only assuming, because that's how it is, that all the other countries kind of play similar games, but I'm not well versed enough to tell a Canadian where to discharge debt in the Treasury. Is there a public side and a private side? I'm assuming there is, but I just don't know. And I wish I knew more, but I'm just not well versed on some of that stuff. Veronica, thank you for sharing the live, much appreciated. Juan Alberto, sir, what law book do I need to become a sovereign? The Living Book, which is the Tablets of Your Mind, is the best one. My favorite law book is the Holy Bible, and it's because it is written on a natural, spiritual, and commercial level of understanding. And I have videos to explain all that. And a lot of people, when I ask them to watch the playlist, of course they jump over spirituality and hop straight into commerce. But the spiritual substance side is really the most important substance to everything. And if you watch the spiritual videos, it will tie everything together. So if you're coming at this triangle and you only want to learn about common law or just learn about international commercial stuff, you're going to be missing the big picture. And there's a reason why I've laid 3 foundations for everybody to build on, is because they're all tied together in the middle with fire. And I'm probably going to make a foundation video maybe in 2 weeks. I might do something like chemtrails or something. I was listening to my hyperbaric oxygen therapy video, and I was like, man, I was so sloppy. I get busy. I try to slide stuff in and get it done. But I think my last video it's doing a little better, but I'm definitely shadow banned. Like, if you're not subscribed to me, you're not going to get notified that I am going live. If you're not, in my Telegram group, you're not going to get notified that I'm going live unless people share to you or, call you on the phone and say, come on here. But truthfully, this live will be on YouTube, the video, and the audio will be on Telegram group if you want to listen to it. But in order to reach me on a one-by-one, you need to either DM me, come on my live, or call me on my website or something. But I think the only way you're going to get notified is if you're subscribed to me in order to know if I'm live. And I don't require that, but yeah, it's good. Yeah, freaking. I definitely suggest going to Turkey. There's a lot of places I want to go. I was talking to Veronica from Puerto Rico. It's definitely a place that I want to go to. So Clay, we're so thankful for you. Yeah, I'm thankful for y'all too. Because for y'all to come on here and start becoming educated and try to raise the consciousness is phenomenal. And I'm not in it for the numbers, but at the end of the day, I do want to wake more people up. But I'm not in it for the numbers. I'm in it to try to help people on a one-by-one. And the more video, the more people that I can reach by my videos going out or getting shared and continue to help knit together this body of unity is kind of what I'm at. But again, at the end of the day, the numbers, if I can help one person, it's really great. But the way I operate is I try to help people on a case-by-case a little bit on their walk. Because like my kids, I could spend the rest of my life with one of my kids. I have two. I could spend the rest of my life with one of them, focusing on every single thing day and night that they do, and then that's it. Not even worry about my job, not worry about anything, just focus on that child only, and that child could be great. Who knows? Jalen, we are in the wrong office known as person. So a person is, again, it's a corporate construct that you can use. We're not. So that's some of the flim-flam. When you get in the Black's Law dictionary, there are a couple words that they trick you up on, and person is one of them. In common parlance, we say person regularly, thinking that that's all it is. But when you get into the legal system, there is a specific definition that means a person can be a corporation, a trust, or an individual, and an individual is a trust. It's a very specific type of trust that's classified by the IRS. The U.S. citizen is classified by the IRS as a individual trust. So, I might be talking about you. I might be. Yeah. We are in the wrong office known as person. Nope. All right. So, Juan Alberto, how do I learn to defend myself? What book? So it depends on how you're trying to defend yourself. Are you trying to defend yourself commercially, physically, spiritually? Which aspect are you doing? Because, you have a right to bear arms unless the U.S. citizen, which you will most likely identify as, got a felony, then they can take that quote-unquote right away. But a citizen only has benefits and privileges. They don't have rights. That's what's granted to them by their creator. And if you want to identify as that citizen and you want to use that citizen, there's underlying duties, rules, and obligations to using that U.S. citizen. And there's all kinds of rules attached to it, including, that doesn't have unalienable rights. It's classified as an enemy, if you want to use that. But it is a tool. You can sail the seas of commerce with it. It's up to you. Or you can create your own. So, essentially, I might be talking about you. Charles, what do I need to do? Yeah, so it's up to you. You have the unlimited ability to contract however you want on a day-to-day, case-by-case basis, and you can actually shape your reality through the contracts that you keep and make all the time. Contracts start verbally, verbatim, and then they are typically memorialized, written. So, thanks for the sharing of the live, Miss Devos Ascension. Did you ever successfully discharge debt like a credit card or a utility bill other than paying it? I personally have not. I have not gone that route. I have not appointed a trustee to discharge one of my debts because I've been in a position where I just give Federal Reserve notes. Now, I'm slowly learning and trying to move to a more private situation. And once I do the vehicle switch, when I take control of my own vehicle, I've already established a sovereign entity that is as powerful as a municipal government. So I have all the foundations laid to get ready to get into that position. But again, at the end of the day, unless you hold the true title to your land, you make your own clothing and grow your own food, and you have your own water and you have your own electricity, you're going to be dealing with either you or an agent needs to deal with somebody else. So the Federal Reserve note is a fictitious instrument that is used in the public, and sometimes the U.S. citizen uses that. I have some of my business entities receive Federal Reserve notes, and if there's a tax liability, it pays. And once you learn the big picture, it's really simple. If you're going to use the U.S. citizen, engage in public commerce, and there's a tax liability, it's got to pay. If you're engaged in business that's either outside of a Federal Reserve or a federal zone and not engaged in for-profit public commerce, there's no tax liability. I'm in a weird situation where there are typically government contracts involved where I'm not going to try to battle saying that there's no tax liability for certain things. So, I back out, and I'm not claiming the sovereign if I'm using that U.S. citizen. It's just a tool, and if it's got to pay, it's got to pay. And at the end of the day, the house wins if you try to go against it. So you can either try to build your own house, which is a very feasible option for some people, or understand the rules of all the games. And I understand all the rules of all the games. My house is currently inside of a trust that is, if I want to take it out of the trust, I have to buy it again. I have to sell it to myself in order to get it unencumbered out of the trust, and then go for the land patent on it. And I don't think I want to do that either. So I'm in a position where eventually, I think within the next 10 years or so, I'll be in a very, very sovereign capacity to be able to operate without involving myself with a lot of the shenanigans of day-to-day tax codes, public policies, procedures, and stuff like that. All right, so Jalen, revocable trust, irrevocable trust. Yeah, that's a good way to operate in. You can express that. That's one of the benefits of using a U.S. citizen is they allow you to express a will. You can express a irrevocable trust. You can do certain things with it, if you want, or you can create your own. And it depends on if you want to register it publicly or if you want to operate privately in a sovereign capacity, which is hailing. If you hail a jurisdiction, it's not up for construement. So you want to specify a jurisdiction, whether that's common law, admiralty, equity, or your own little sovereign parcel, or however you want to do it. Jeff, RPG Jeff, just got a speeding ticket today. I'm going to go pro se and see how it goes. That'd be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't ever suggest to anybody to try to engage in any of that stuff unless you're fully prepared and ready to stand on your own and be confronted. Because if I do all the paperwork for you, or I tell you what to say all day long, you could rehearse all day, and the judge could say something that we didn't rehearse. And then guess what? Since you're not coming from equity or able to embody what it means to be sovereign and take control of the court, you're just going to get your butt handed to you. And that's just how it works. You have to be able to stand on your own, Sam, are there people to have become fully sovereign? If so, absolutely. The elites of the elites, they are 100% sovereign. They are outside of all of this public mainstream narratives and media. They control the corporations that control the corporations that control all the corporations. We're down here at the bottom trying to scramble as the bottom of the totem pole, operating as the representative of the U.S. citizen, trying to get $2 to rub together at the end of the day. When the people at the top of the businesses that control everything and run all of our education system, our medical, and all that stuff, they get to dictate a lot of stuff. But you can step outside of that and look at the big picture and understand how it all works. Now, unfortunately, if you're going to be dealing in Federal Reserve notes, how do you get them? What do you do? If you're going to be dealing in gold, how'd you get that? A lot of us aren't born with the ability to be fully sovereign. Fully. I mean, we are all fully sovereign, but we give up those benefits or those rights all the time by accepting benefits and privileges, like using Federal Reserve notes, like using the public banking system, stuff like that. So, Clay, I think we just want to learn how to separate ourselves from the U.S. citizen defendant. For court, yeah, that's one way to do it. So I have videos on being sovereign in court. So it's smoke and mirrors. A lot of it is you just have to reserve your rights before you enter the bar, and also you need to let the judge know. If there's people behind you, you got to colorably let the judge know that you hold private asset knowledge that is not acceptable to the sheep around, because that's how the system works. That's how everybody's bound, and his duty and obligation is to the public. He swore an oath to uphold the public. The public is bankrupt, uneducated, psycho, and wild, and they can't handle assets. There's no, the assets are held in the private, and a lot of people want to say, prove to me that you can beat a court case. Show me that it can disappear. And what happens when a sovereign takes and embodies and controls a court case is it disappears. It just goes away, completely. And it's like, unless you're watching it in real time live, watch it disappear. It's kind of like, I had a case, but then it just, it disappeared, because you can either squash it equitably, like by signing it. Ask the judge where you want me to sign, because that's all that's needed. Is signature is the only thing of real value, is our promise to pay the authorized representative. Or you can put it in trust. You can do all kinds of things. You can create your own judgment. You can squash it. There's so many ways to handle a court case, but it's up to you. He talks the talk and walks the walk. Yeah, I do a little bit. I know how to operate, outside of all the stuff, but it takes the ability with a lot of money to be able to, like I said, grow your own food, have your own land, all that stuff, have your own water. I've started the process, but it's not an overnight thing for me. It's going to take a little bit, and it is what it is. If anybody wants to donate, $500,000 to me to get on my sovereign journey, by all means, feel free. I accept donations all day long. All right. Juan Alberto, I'm glad you read your Bible. If you want any help on clarity of understanding the spiritual, the natural, the commercial aspects of the Bible, by all means, you can reach out and DM me, and I can help you show you some of the things that were revealed to me, and it'll blow your mind away. But a lot of it has been laid out in my spiritual videos. Yes, Clay, a lot of this for victimless crimes, that's the easiest. If there's a victim, you need to help make all parties whole. But if there's a victimless crime, there's 78 billion ways to handle a court case, and everything the judge says is an offer, and there's 4 doors that you can go through for every single word, and you got to understand how courtroom procedures work. If you want to start taking on the legal system, every courtroom has a publicly published procedures list that you got to understand and look at. If you're going to start taking on that animal, it's typically not super simple. And that's what I tell everybody. It's like, unless you're fully prepared and studied, like I can go in a court case and handle it. I can squash it. Even if there's someone that's complaining on the other side of the table, I can still squash it, as long as I've made all parties whole. But if I go in there and I'm not learned and I'm stuttering, the judges are gatekeepers, and they want people to be educated outside of the public mainstream indoctrination camps. But a lot of people don't take that time or effort. So it just, you got to pick your battles. And if you are not prepared to go to war, or prepared to defend yourself or stay your honor and take control of a court, you will get hurt. The judge, you could have the perfect process laid out. I could have all the paperwork done for you. You could say everything right, and the judge could just talk right over you and say, I'm administering this account, or I'm setting this, and here's the next court date. And you just sit there and go, no, that's an offer. That's just an offer, okay? And you can conditionally accept that offer, which is more honorable. You typically don't want to make statements unless you take control of the court, because when you're an enemy, you don't have rights. You have benefits and privileges, which are very few for an enemy in court. So it's but when you take control of it, you can make statements. Once the judge knows, what time it is. He said 1,000,000 times, and I can't co-sign. Start with a spiritual. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I started with nature. We all start with nature. We start learning the natural realm. We're walking around trying to figure things out. But when you can come to the higher elevation of spirit, the substance behind everything, that's what really matters, because commerce is neutral, all right? And depending on what you do with your commerce determines everything. So if you don't have that spiritual side that is attached to nature, or separated once you express the contract of unity with the the spiritual realm, then your commerce is going to be garbage. Your commerce is not going to be all that great, because you're resonating on a very natural low frequency. And if you can come from a higher spiritual realm and a spiritual plane of understanding of unity, your commerce is going to come out much better. It's going to be much smoother, much easier. Well, not all the time when you're trying to deal with people, but you always got to come from a level where people can understand. Ascension Era, thank you so much for the rose. Your gifts will be used to help others. Much appreciated. Mitcho, what other steps besides the affidavit of status would you recommend to do? So a path that you can take is something called status and standing, and I have videos on all this. And what you do is, once you choose what your status is in society, you can mail that out to others to create a public record to basically say, this is where I'm at, this is what my records show, what do yours say? If you got any rebut, please let me know. If not, this is going to stand as a fact. And then that will give you standing, because there's a difference between status and standing. Standing is your ability to enforce and prove your status, okay? So if you have status and standing, that is a good path to take to start to be able to embody what it is to enforce your sovereignty should you ever be challenged. Like if CPS comes up, or police, or judges, or whatever, you'll have actual records, because in their world, even though paper is not important, you can kill them with paper, and you just have to know what you're doing. Thanks for the share of the live. Thanks for the checks. Sorry I'm so behind on questions. I know my Bible. I understand it a lot. I want to know my laws. So you can create your own laws, Juan. That's up to you. If you fully understand what I'm talking about being sovereignty, and you understand all the spiritual stuff that I teach, then at that point you are coming from the position of being one with the creators, and you can create laws, and you can bind and set spirits free. You can the natural realm works for you, at that point when you get up to a higher level, and you can create your own laws. So that's, if you're on that level, then that's where we can start. Mitch, all of my I'll say the spiel. This live video will be on YouTube. The audio will be on Telegram group. My website has additional auxiliary information that is attached to my TikTok profile, including my playlists. My playlists are on my TikTok profile and on my website. All of my social media is on the website. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see them, and you can click on it. All the stuff's free that I offer. I offer free consultations. I offer help on case-by-case basis. But I always suggest to everybody to watch the playlist on my profile. It should help re-educate you. And the truth is, and I talked to somebody last night about this, is the way I've laid out my profiles, or my playlists, is if you're able to grasp everything and put it all together, you will be unstoppable. I've put most of it all out. Like I can go into details on all kinds of little things, but on the big picture, on the big scale, I have laid it all out for everybody, and it's right there for you to grasp. Yeah, Black's Law Dictionary is good, Veronica, and I have those on my website under dictionaries if you want to just browse through them. But again, at the end of the day, you can learn 10 million public policies, codes, and statutes, and you will never ever finish, because they keep making more. You know why? Because we're all sovereign, and we all find little ways to get out of the box every time they try to box us in and contract us into little concentrated camps, and we're able to figure out ways and loopholes, and they got to create more codes and more policies, and it'll never end. It just is what it is. That's why the law can't. It can be fulfilled in love and in equity. When you try to fulfill the law to legally, good luck. You can fulfill it lawfully, but when you get in the legal realm, the truth doesn't even matter, and that's the truth. When you get on the legal level, the truth doesn't even matter. All right, so I was on your For You page. That's cool. All right. Like I said, it'll blast me out to about 20 people, and it just stops. And then I slowly got to between y'all sharing and over time and comments and stuff. I think eventually I'll get up to about 40 is like my max, where they're like, it ain't going out to nobody else. So, Sam, are there people that have become fully sovereign? So yes, absolutely, all the time. Like I said, the people that are at the top of the pyramid, living in equity and coming from a spiritual level, yes. And you can reach such a high spiritual level that you actually transcend out of the flesh, like Enoch and a few others. You become a master of this natural realm, and you can spiritually just check out, and keep going, and keep growing, and then you're just a baby in the spiritual world at that point. Ascension, is it possible to operate a company through the private side and to be free from tax? Absolutely. Yes, 100% you can operate businesses on the private side. Now, depending on if that business is engaged in for profit, or in a federal zone, is determining whether or not there's a tax liability. So that's completely up to you how you do business. And the IRS, everybody hates them, but it's just an honorable, neutral, third-party accounting system established by the creditors in order to monitor transactions. That's it. Simple as that. But guess what? In their codes and policies, they say if you're going to be engaged in for-profit, there's a tax liability. If you're going to be engaged in eleemosynary work, you're going to be engaged in humanitarian, you're going to be engaged in helping edify people and others, they're not going to tax you, if not very little. You know, so it's up to you if you want to support a for-profit insidious system that is based on greed, or if you want to help others and not be taxed. If you're going to be engaged in Federal Reserve notes. Now, if you want to create your own currency or deal in gold or silver or whatever, barter outside of the system, you can do that too. You can contract any way you want. But depending on if your business is going to be engaged in public commerce is whether or not it should be registered, but you can meet some smaller businesses that aren't bound federally as hard, and they're able to like 1099 you and donate or whatever. But if you're engaged in for-profit, they're going to report to the IRS that they paid something or somebody, and then the IRS is going to come after you. And I love people that put out this, you know, TikTok. It's like they really know what they're doing. You know, you have a video that comes out that says, "Oh, all you have to do is say you're a human, and they won't tax you." And it goes out to millions of people, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, cool. I'll just say I'm a human, and you can't tax me." And then later, I'm sitting there, you know, because I know things on a big picture. And then I'm like, these people are going to jail, or you're going to have a court case lodged against you, because once the double entry accounting and Harmony is not on the books of balancing, the IRS is going to come knocking, and they're going to come. And I've watched videos tagging people that are like, yeah, you just got to say you're a human. And then later, yeah, the guys are like, yeah, the IRS came after me. Yeah, you know, I was tax exempt for a little while, at least I thought. But you know, you got to understand how Harmony, it's all accounting. It's all book and banking. That's what the U.S. corporation is. It's good for all transactions that deal in money and monetary stuff and banking and stuff. And that's what it's all about, business. And people come here from other countries and they're like, that's all there is to do is just buy. Instead, it's like, that's how the game's set up. It's all set up for about purchasing and buying and trying to create wealth at the very top of the pyramid while people are down at the bottom doing all the biddings. That's just how it's set up. That's how you control people. Juan Alberto, hey Charles, I have to go. I want to know more. I will contact you. Absolutely, please do. You can DM me, you can email me, however you want. Yep. Thanks Veronica. Commercially. All right, Juan Alberto, awesome. All right, Gemini. Yes, first time catching you live. I'm glad you caught me. Welcome. Sorry, I'm just now getting to you. Jamie Lara, if you receive federal grants, can you still stand as a sovereign? So you, the human, probably wouldn't be receiving the grant. There would be an entity receiving it, and one of the downsides to operating in a, trying to be sovereign and or working not for profit is when you take that federal grant, you're receiving a public benefit, which gives up strings, and typically they have guidelines and rules for a lot of things. For instance, a lot of churches that want to go get loans from banks, what they say is they have to teach a particular set rules and guidelines in order to get loans. You can't just preach and teach anything. They're like, you have to go by these guidelines if you want this money and to build a church or to have new, it kind of sucks. But, the system on a big scale on a large picture is very harmonious and very beautiful. But, of course, when you get down in the weeds, nothing is perfect, okay? But again, like I said, on a big scale, if you see things from the top, it's kind of harmonious and balanced to an extent. And if somebody or something acts outside of the capacity of what's rightful and lawful, you can put them in check. You can enforce your laws. You can enforce your will. Gemini, you know all this stuff and pay bills. Yeah, I do. Well, my citizen pays bills. It does. But it's it's part of the game. I'm using Federal Reserve notes. I'm not contracting with gold or creating. I have a sovereign entity that I'm part of that is completely out of all jurisdictions and under my control and as powerful as a government. And I can create courts. I can create legislature. I can travel. I can do all kinds of stuff. But I don't do it because, number one, like my car, my mom gave me a $10,000 discount, but it was registered, and so the best I could do is decommission it or use it as a down payment for another car. But guess what? I don't have $30,000 cash for an unregistered car right now. Like I said, I'm working in that position, and it's within the next 10 years or so, we'll see what happens. But I'm getting everything kind of laid down, and I'm building foundations, and I'm getting everybody to see. I'm vetting everybody and seeing who can pass all these tests. It's all done with tax forms. Yeah, there's ways to do it. The tax forms are, like I said, they are the accounting system for everything. User 823062702, what is your opinion on conservatorship of the person? So conservatorship sounds, I think that's somewhat similar to the grantor, right? Conservatorship. Under U.S. law, conservatorship results from the appointment of a guardian or a protector by a judge to manage the personal or financial affairs. Yeah, this like I said, it's somewhat similar to a grantor, and you're already the authorized representative of the U.S. citizen. You can engage that entity in any type of contractual obligations that you want. It's completely up to you. You know what I'm saying? If you want to take the grantor position, you can do that. If you want to take the conservatorship position, you can do that. If you want to do that for somebody else, you can do that. If you want to put a UCC-1 lien on the U.S. citizen, you can do that. But it's fruitless. All that stuff is fruitless because, well, not fruitless. You can use it for certain things. Like if you express a will of everything that the U.S. citizen can do, you can do the grantor position and have very good success with it. Okay, but unless you are in the position to take that path, before you express the will, you have to know what you're doing. And for instance, you can't engage in health. Because when you publicly put on records and do things that the entity is not quote unquote alive, even though it's just a corporation, you can't engage in new business or new contracts or new things. You can't open up bank accounts. You can't do certain things. So you got to be careful. All right, this Jenks ran down. I'm just getting kind of behind. Sorry. I will eventually get to y'all's questions, guys. I apologize. Sorry if you don't want to hang out. All right, Gemini. All you do is take a POA over the all caps by way of IRS form. No, that's you're already the trustee of all its duties and obligations. That's old school technology of becoming your lowercase, trying to become the power of attorney of your uppercase. You are already the authorized, okay? You've been authorized because the U.S. citizen was created by somebody else. And when you create something, you get to control it. But guess who controls the U.S. citizen and will forever? The state, okay? And the state has guidelines and rules for it if you're going to operate with it. Now, if you want to create an entity that is outside of their jurisdiction or create an entity that you control, you have to create it. If you're going to use the citizen, you are only authorized to do certain things. And that's why when I see people coming up and saying, "Oh, you can put a lien on the straw man, create a bond, and start going through the treasury," it's like, all right, it's nice knowing you. Goodbye. You're not authorized to do that. Congress didn't authorize you to do that. If you're going to be engaged in someone else's game, you have to know the rules, and that's just simple. It's just simple fundamentals. It's just how it works. Kevin, how will the U.S. digital currency affect the Federal Reserve notes? So I honestly don't think that the U.S. digital currency is going to survive. I think the BRICS nation is going to be the number one dog that comes out on top because they control 46% of the GDP, and they're continuing to climb. And once they get to the 50% mark of the world's control of gross domestic product, they will be the victors and dictate everything. That, like I said, that is what I think. I don't have people in high places telling me stuff, but that's just what, putting puzzle pieces together is what it seems like. All right, so I think this thing jumped again. I'm trying to catch this. It's possible. Oh, where are we at? I'm here. Oh yeah, I'm here in special divine appearance, Jeff, and would like to know the jurisdiction. Yep, you can do that. Like I said, there's 10 billion ways to handle a court case, and it is completely up to you how you want to do it. When you are sovereign, you can hail any of the you can hail a jurisdiction. You can tell the judge what jurisdiction he's going to have to operate in order to even deal with you. You don't have to say, what jurisdiction are you in? You can say, I'm an admiralty. And if you come in an admiralty, the judge is in trouble because you can sue him very quickly because anybody engaged in commerce can be sued very quickly in commerce and admiralty. But admiralty, learning the judicial rules and gameplays of admiralty is kind of a tricky kind of held secret that's hard to plow through. All right, Gemini places your agent over principal. I just put it up on here. Yeah, I understand. A corporation cannot bring charges against a living man. Yeah, they don't. They come after a U.S. citizen, and if you don't know what you're doing, they will still put a lien and come after the U.S. citizen, and then if you don't know how to separate yourself, they will come after the U.S. citizen's bank account, because does the living man have a bank account? Does the living man have his own land? Does the living man have his own currency? Because anything that U.S. citizen is involved in and the court takes control of it, your little power of attorney is not going to hold no water. It's just not going to work. It's just how it works. Now, when you start moving into the private side of equity in a court case, not coming in as I'm the living man over the judge knows. The judge knows 101 that you're not a U.S. citizen. Okay, that is the beginning. That's the judge's day one of learning. Okay, now, when you come in and embody the U.S. citizen and you say you are the U.S. citizen, you just say the name, game's up. But if you come in equity, you can squash a court case very easily. You can just sign something, or you can do your own judgment, or you can do all that stuff. You start trying to say I'm a human, you can't do anything. He's going to wipe his rear end with you. He will get you under the jurisdiction. He will talk over you. He will create a judgment, and he will enforce it. And anything that the U.S. citizen is involved in, you better dock that sucker and understand how to use a different entity, because you cannot control that thing. That is the state's property, and the state by statute allows owners, which is us, we're an owner of the U.S. citizen, not a controller. They allow the owners to do certain things, and you got to know the rules of the game. It just is what it is. Moderator, thanks for pinning something, Veronica. I wish I could see it. Like I said, this Gemini, I'm here to help. Thanks for loving my website. Don't mean to come harsh on you, but I have been doing this for a very long time, and I hate seeing people get harmed. And then now you said you're out. It's taken me a while to get to people's comments. I'm slowly getting to the bottom, though. I'm almost there. Gemini, he's talking to people. Thank you. Ascension, can you argue to the court that you don't understand their type of twisted English? So arguing is combative. You don't ever want to argue, Ascension. You want to always come at peace and in love and be in harmony. That's how you are able to settle a lot of the misinformation that's out there. A lot of people, there's this guy that I love to death, but he's belligerent. He's a combatant. He has enough knowledge that he can, but he also spends time in jail because he's not coming at an equitable, peaceful, loveful place of harmony to try to balance the books. When you go in front of a court, it's just an account that needs to be settled. That's it. Now, in order to settle it privately with assets, you have to know what you're doing. If you're going to play in the public debtor-creditor that binds everybody and blinds everybody, then you gotta go just be a sheep. That's fine. Now you're going to start trying to dip into the private assets of equity and knowledge and where the truth is, then you've got to come from a place of harmony and peace in order to balance the books. And there's 10 billion ways to do it. 78 million, whatever, however many ways you can handle to settle a court case. And like I said, everything the judge says is an offer. You got 4 doors out of every single one. Thanks for the sharing of the live. Thanks for another share of the live. And Jet, what's up with all the eyeballs and faces, dude? Clay, 501c1a. Yep, a PMA is an option. I can send you a website. Yep, and you can accept donations. For if it's and for with the crypto, I know the IRS wants you to report crypto if and I don't know about doing crypto not for profit. I could assume you could operate outside of the systems in that manner. I'm not super learned in the crypto game because we're so indoctrinated that we base a crypto's value off of the U.S. dollar, and what I think is going to happen, like I said, if the BRICS nations gets that 50% or right there starts flirting with it and they become the dominant controlling factor on this earth, their asset-backed digital currency is going to dominate everything. Now, a lot's going to happen here in the next few years, guys, and that's part of why I'm operating the way I am, which is I kind of know everything, but I haven't jumped into the water. And part of that is because when the money switches, because I think within the next few years, all banks have to be backed by commodities. And if they're not, they're going boobs up, they're done. So I don't know what's going to happen with the monetary system, and like I said, I'm not in a position where I control title to my land. I control title to property. I control a lot of things, but I'm not in like a position, and I can be. I actually have the path and means to be able to operate 100% sovereign and private, but it's kind of complicated. So, and I don't expect any of y'all to get on that stuff. But yeah, 508c1a and 501c3 are there different type of entities, Clay, and depending on what you do, if you have a 508c1a, the IRS will try to trick you by sending you a letter that says to apply for a tax exempt status, you have to sign this. That's a trick. If you're typically a church or one of the things that they claim you're involved in scientific research for helping humanity and stuff like that, you're not taxed, and you're already exempt, and they trick you into signing that. And then once you sign for the application, when you apply and then you when you submit yourself, you are submitting to all kinds of rules and guidelines, and they get you in traps real quick. Journey Woman, trying to comprehend this all day by day. Yeah, it's a daily walk, and that's how it works. And a lot of people love running. And one of the unfortunate truths about all of this knowledge is when you start to become slightly awake more than the people around you, everything seems so amazing and intriguing. And some people get mad, some people get upset, some people want to go against the government. And I can tell you what, The last thing that I would ever want to do is to try to be belligerent or an enemy or combative against people that have aircraft carriers, machine guns, tanks, troops, armies, and stuff. Like, they work for you, first of all. So why would you even try to take that route? Second of all, like, that's a very losing battle, because you can be sovereign all day you want and start your own little parcel, but you're starting down here as a little peon. You don't have your own army, your own military, your own court system, you know. So understand the big game, and they actually all work for you. You know, it's just kind of harmonious when you get out of the public debtor-creditor mentality and get into the private trust asset equity side, and understand that it's a double entry type of system that balances on the T-chart. All right, Grand Queen. I'm just finding you. I need to get this information. It's I honestly suggest watching the playlist on my profile. And guys, this video will be on YouTube. The audio will be on Telegram group. You can watch my playlist, Re-Education. My website has auxiliary information with that should supplement a lot of your thoughts and paths and wants. All of my social medias are linked on my website. That's linked on my TikTok profile page. Take some time. It takes 2 hours at least to watch the playlist. Don't look at it like homework. Look at it as a way to edify and slowly re-educate yourself. I do not suggest to anybody to be engaged in anything that they are not fully comprehending, able to embody. Being sovereign and coming from love is the most important thing, always, no matter what, at the end of the day. That is where the substance is, the spirit. That is what will trump all in the end. So that's what I suggest learning first, is what it means to be and embody sovereignty. And unfortunately, it involves learning the spirit, which a lot of people don't. They just don't want. They just do not want. Listen, playlist to start. Thank you, Veronica. What's your opinion on conservatorship? I think I already answered that. That's kind of like being the what you call it, the executor. You don't want to be the executor. Bro, what up, man? Still got your email and stuff. Keep it up. Oh, appreciate it. That's good. I do apologize. I talk to a lot of people, so and then people that email me, they have one name, and then when they get on Telegram, they got another name, and then they get on YouTube, they have another name, and then they get on DMs and TikTok, they have another name, and then they call me, and it's like, oh, it's like, this is my real name. It's like, oh, I appreciate it. You have 7 different personas, and I'm helping thousands of people, and like, so sometimes I just need refreshing on, you know, what else going on. Ascension Nera. What are sovereign people affected by emergency situations like COVID when the government's trampling people? So that's when you have to come at them by using the court systems and or going after their bonds. When somebody acts outside of their capacity and harms you. I was put in a situation where I was fired by a company where I could have sued them and hurt them very, very greatly. I always try to do my best to come from love. And that really, it harmed my situation where I almost became bankrupt. But I knew that $32 million of propaganda was not for me. And I'll tell you straight, point blank, that the juice that everybody drank has put fatalities more combined than all other juices that people have drank. Okay? That's actually public data. If you go on the VAERS site and look, that juice has done more damage. It's not good. So I knew I was on the right path, but commercially, it was very taxing and very stressful. But I'm kind of through it now. I'm getting on the other end, and that's another reason why that really set me back. That set me back on this sovereign thing, because I am sovereign, but in order to like be fully sovereign, you know, you got to control all the property that you're gonna be involved in. So, but yeah, again, if somebody is messing with you outside of their capacity, you got to remember that the public servants have sworn an oath to uphold, look and engage and investigate public and domestic and foreign terrors, and they want to make sure that you're not involved in that kind of stuff. And what the unfortunate side of corporations is, how it works is orders come from the top, okay? And if you look at a corporation as this little entity that's controlled by the city, which is controlled by the state, which is controlled by the United States, which is controlled by DC, which is controlled by some, secret Illuminati elite, whatever. Whoever's at the very, very top can make orders that only the person right below them understands, and then they're just taking orders. And then the next one down enforces those orders, and then the one down there. And by the time you're at the bottom, looking the bottom up, you have no clue what the person 17 levels up said. But if you step back, take yourself out of it, and look at the big picture, you're able to put some pieces together. And that's how I try to operate. I always try to take a neutral position of love and try to receive information, even if it's conflicting against what my personal views are. Start with $1,000 mopped. What? What does that mean? Yes, redemption is real. Absolutely. What's up? How you doing, Gray? Grayman Patriot. Thanks for coming on. I'm probably going to wrap up soon, guys, because once I get to the bottom, if I can get to the bottom, and possible. Redemption is real and possible. Absolutely. I actually started my path off with my redemption. That's how my folder started for the Dropbox. It's a long time ago, 10 years ago, starting off the redemption. I'm glad you love it. Appreciate it. Thanks for the fire, Sean. Jake, how do we become foreign trustees, though? You're a foreign trustee right now because you're the author. You're the trustee of a U.S. citizen, which is a corporation. And you, a human, is foreign to the corporate world. Even though we interface with people all day long, only a corporation can interface with another corporation. And so, for instance, like my man over here said, you can come in with this POA and try to say you're a human, and you can't contract with me, and they'll say, fine, we'll just contract with the U.S. citizen and hem him up and put a warrant out for his debt or his arrest. And then guess what's going to happen? You know, you're going to have some people showing up to your door. And you think a cop's going to care if you have a POA? They ain't going to care if they got a POA if they got orders to arrest the U.S. citizen. Going for a swim. All right, Veronica, nice. Thanks for coming on. I'm going to get off here. Is divorce the only way to get the state out of marriage? That is one way. You can create records and enforce them that you're not married. You can bifurcate with the your spouse, but it is really simple if y'all are both in agreement to just go get a divorce. You know, you can create a proof and records that y'all are divorced, and then like enforce that and bring that in, and not register it publicly, but it's once you marry the state, they have rules and guidelines. It's just best and easiest. Just get it over with. Just bifurcate or separate or whatever, and then walk your separate ways. Rep G, Jeff. Last speeding ticket I got, the judge said it was criminal, so I asked to face my accuser, the victim. That's a good position to take. And I bet he said he's right over there on the other side of the party, the attorney general. Jake, so then how do we control the securities in our minor account? That's through the DTC, Jake, and you can give me a call if you want to do that. You know, I've laid most of it out on my video, but I can try to give you some more guidance. All right, Ascension, you didn't answer the question of saying that I don't understand legalese. Yeah, you can say you don't understand, but if you gave up jurisdiction, Ascension, when you walk through the bar, then you're already kind of duct taped. You're going to be fighting an uphill battle. You have to reserve your rights and or claim the jurisdiction. And make sure there's nobody around you, because you'll make the judge upset, because his duty is to the public. So are lawyers. Their first duty and obligation is to the public, not you. Okay. Once you know the games, you gotta be careful. What about credit unions? You can play in the creditor debtor world. I mean, you can do it all. We do all day. You can live the rest of your life without knowing any of this stuff I've spent 10 years knowing. You know, and you can live a very happy life. You can be coming from peace. You can walk with the Creator. You can be a janitor, working, you know, making $7 an hour or whatever, and be the most amazing, beautiful, loved person on this world that everybody wants to get your light. You know, and that's fine. You know, there are parts of all this body that play that part. You know, this is what it is. Great man, yep. Can a Canadian become sovereign in the U.S.? Yes, absolutely. And a good, easy way is to owe allegiance to a Republican form of government here. You know, if you got to get here. You know, but being in Canada, trying to say you're a U.S. sovereign, you know, is a little more difficult to enforce if you don't have that paperwork in place. Jake, gotta come in with peace treaty. Yeah, dude. Yep, peace treaty is the way to go, man. That was one of my greatest things that I've accomplished. Absolutely. I let the people know, you know, I'm at peace and in love. Absolutely, 100%. The W4 sandwich is a good way to audit things. You know, Dustin, the CFO has the ability to deal on the private side and the public side on the books, and they do certain things, but they typically do not operate outside of what is federally allowed, okay? So when you do an audit, at the end of the day, you can catch them with their pants down, absolutely, 100%, but typically, 99% of the time, they're operating within the guidelines of general accounting practices, and they haven't done like a whole bunch of flim-flam that will cause them to go to jail. But you can, there are greedy people out there that do all kinds of things, you know, and that's why it takes 2 or more witnesses to establish things, because people lie, they steal, they cheat. You know, you gotta understand the rules of the game, and then pick your battles all day long. FSST, all of these rules about the public servants don't apply in Canada. They should. I'm not super familiar with Canadian policy, but from my studies, all of the countries on the world operate in a very similar manner on a big scale. But when you start getting down in the micro nuances, like I had somebody ask me, is Canadian money, war script. Like, you know, when a military takes over a country, the first thing that goes out is the truth and then the money, and then they switch it all up because they don't want people to build up ammunitions against them, and they don't want people to know what's really going on. Okay, so I don't know when Canadians were conquered, or you know, if they were conquered, or if the Canadian company went bankrupt, or when. You know, I don't know if there was gold that was taken away. I don't know if they classified the citizens as enemies. I know that y'all's TIN number is called SIN, S-I-N. Y'all have SIN numbers for your citizens, so you're operating in very similar manners where you're the authorized representative for your citizen, and whoever birthed that corporation is the controller of it. You know, on a big level, that's how it works. But you start getting down to the nuances. I know trust law trumps everything. I know UCC, all countries are bound by it. You know, certain big things. But you start getting it down into the tiny nuances of Canadian stuff, and I'm not super well versed or learned on it. It just is what it is. A trust can own crypto. And depending on if that trust is within or without U.S. jurisdiction depends on the guidelines that it's going to have to play by. Okay, so that's how that works. If you're gonna have a trust that is outside of U.S. jurisdiction, for instance, like the Republican form of government, then yeah, it doesn't have to report any of that stuff. You know, but if it starts to be engaged in for-profit public commerce with Federal Reserve notes, that's when issues come in. Not so much crypto. Jake, phone went dead. Did you answer my question about the minor account? I did, buddy, and honestly, I'm getting ready to wrap up, and you can watch this live or audio. You can listen to the audio on Telegram. You can watch the live on YouTube. Just skip to the very end because it wasn't very long ago. Got to gain some gap knowledge, absolutely. All right, guys, I made it to the bottom. I did it. I love you. It's Friday. I'm going to post this live on YouTube. The audio will be on Telegram group. I hope y'all enjoy your weekend. Thanks for everybody that comes on. I love that everybody's trying to learn. My Telegram group is attached to my website on my profile page of TikTok, Michelle, so please join. You can reach out to me, guys. DM me anytime you want. Browse around, watch the playlist on my profile page of TikTok to help re-educate yourself. And I hope y'all have a great weekend. I try to come on here around the same time. I'll let everybody know on Telegram when I'm going live. So anyway, love you guys. Enjoy your weekend, and y'all have a good one.